The first thing I remember was the sound of machines, slow beeps, cold hospital air, and the feeling that my body didn't quite belong to me anymore. When my eyes finally opened, the nurse said something I'll never forget. "You're lucky we got you into surgery in time. My appendix had ruptured. Emergency surgery. Hours in the operating room. And now I was lying alone in the ICU. My hands were shaking when I grabbed my phone. There was only one person I wanted to see. My husband, Kevin. I called him. Once, twice, 3 times. Straight to voicemail. So I sent a text. "Kevin, I'm in the ICU after emergency surgery. Can you come to the hospital?" For a moment, I actually believed he would rush through those doors. Because that's what husbands do. Right? 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. His reply: "I'm at the company retreat with Megan. I can't leave right now." It would look bad. I stared at the message, certain I had misunderstood it. So I typed again. "Kevin, I almost died." The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then another message came through. "Megan needs help with her presentation tomorrow. Just take an Uber home when they discharge you." Sorry, babe. The room suddenly felt colder. My incision throbbed. Tears slid quietly down the side of my face. And with trembling fingers, I typed one word. Okay. What Kevin didn't know was that this single word had just ended our 7-year marriage. The nurse asked me 4 times that night, "Is there anyone else we can call for you? A friend? A parent? A sibling? Anyone?" But every time, I shook my head, because the truth was painfully simple. The only person I wanted there had already decided I wasn't important enough. So instead, I kept staring at Kevin's message. "Take an Uber home from the ICU after emergency surgery." The words felt unreal, like they belonged in someone else's nightmare. 7 years of marriage, and this was what it had come down to. A presentation, and a woman named Megan. The funny thing is, Megan hadn't always been a problem. 8 months earlier, Kevin brought her to our anniversary dinner. "She's new at the company," he'd said casually. "Doesn't know anyone in Denver yet." Megan Turner. Perfect hair. Designer clothes. The kind of confidence that filled a room before she even spoke. I remember watching them across the table that night. The way she laughed at everything Kevin said. The way her hand casually rested on his arm. Just a little too long. At the time, I told myself I was imagining things. Because trusting your husband is easier than accepting something might already be broken. But after that dinner, things started changing. Slowly at first, Kevin began mentioning Megan more and more. Megan's stressed about a project. Megan needs help preparing a report. Megan's having a rough time adjusting to the new job. Soon, their work lunches became weekly. Then, almost daily. 3-hour lunches. Late-night texts. Work emergencies. And every time I questioned it, Kevin gave me the same answer. "She trusts me," as if that explained everything. As if her trust somehow mattered more than the vows he made to his wife. Lying there in the ICU that night, staring at the ceiling tiles above me, something inside me finally snapped into place. Because deep down, I already knew the truth. Kevin wasn't choosing work. He was choosing Megan. And what I didn't know yet was that someone else at that retreat was about to discover the truth too. That morning, before everything fell apart, felt like a lifetime ago. I had woken up at 6:15 a.m., just like always. The kitchen was quiet, sunlight barely touching the windows, and I was making Kevin's coffee, the exact way he liked it. 2 shots of espresso, a splash of oat milk, 1 raw sugar. 7 years of marriage teaches you small things like that. Your hands remember the routine, even when your heart starts feeling something is wrong. Kevin was sitting at the table, But he wasn't really there. His eyes stayed glued to his phone, a small smile playing on his lips. Not the smile he used to give me. A different one. I already knew who it was. Megan? I asked quietly. He didn't even look up. Yeah, he said. She's freaking out about the retreat. Of course she was. Megan had been freaking out for 8 months now. Always something urgent. A report. A meeting. A presentation. A last-minute change. And somehow, Kevin was always the only person who could help her. The venue changed some details, he continued, still typing. She's kind of panicking. I forced a small smile and set his coffee in front of him. You'll still come to my presentation this afternoon, right? That finally made him glance up. Just for a second. I'll try, he said. Try. 7 years of marriage. And showing up for his wife had become a maybe. But if Megan needs help preparing tonight, he added, I might have to stay at the retreat. Of course. Megan always needed him. That morning I watched him get ready for the trip. Something about it felt different. He wore the blue shirt Megan had complimented last week. The one I bought him for his birthday. The one he had never worn before. His cologne was stronger than usual. He checked his hair twice. And when he grabbed his bag, he looked excited. Not like a man going to work. Like a man going somewhere he actually wanted to be. Standing there in the doorway, I suddenly had a strange thought. A quiet question that slipped into my mind. When did I stop being the most important person in my husband's life? I didn't know it yet. But a few hours later, while Kevin was helping Megan prepare her presentation at that lakeside resort, I would be lying on the cold floor of my office bathroom, unable to stand, while my appendix ruptured inside my body. By 3:30 p.m., the pain wasn't just pain anymore. It was something deeper, something terrifying. At first it had felt like stress, a dull ache in my stomach while I reviewed my presentation slides. But within an hour, it turned into something sharp, violent, like my body was tearing itself apart from the inside. I remember gripping the edge of my desk, trying to breathe normally while the room spun around me. Rachel, you okay? Someone asked as they walked past. Yeah, just stomach cramps, I forced out. I even smiled, because that's what we do sometimes. Pretend everything is fine while our world is collapsing. But by 3:30, I couldn't pretend anymore. I'd barely made it to the bathroom. The moment the door closed behind me, my legs gave out. I collapsed onto the cold tile floor, clutching my stomach while waves of pain crashed through my body. My phone was sitting on the counter, just a few feet away. I remember trying to crawl toward it, dragging myself across the floor, my hands shaking, because there was only one person I wanted to call. Kevin, my husband, the man who promised to be there in sickness and in health. But before I could reach the phone, everything went black. The next thing I remember was voices, bright lights, someone calling my name. Melissa from accounting had found me about 30 minutes later. She'd come into the bathroom before leaving for the company retreat, and heard me groaning behind the stall door. An ambulance came, then doctors, then the words that changed everything. Your appendix has ruptured. We need to operate immediately. Someone asked if there was a family member they should contact. Through the haze of pain and fear, I gave them Kevin's number. Even then, some part of me believed he would come, because that's what husbands do. They show up. They drop everything. They hold your hand while doctors rush you into surgery. At least, that's what I thought. That while surgeons were fighting to save my life in an operating room, Kevin was 2 hours away, at a lakeside resort, helping Megan rehearse her PowerPoint presentation. When I woke up, the room was quiet except for the soft beeping of machines. I see you. My throat felt dry, my body heavy, and a sharp pain spread across my abdomen every time I tried to breathe. For a moment I just stared at the ceiling, trying to remember what had happened. Then it all rushed back. The bathroom floor, the ambulance, the surgery. My hands moved slowly toward my phone on the bedside table. There was only one person I wanted to hear from. Kevin, my husband. I called him. The phone rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. A nurse noticed the tears gathering in my eyes. Would you like us to call someone else? She asked gently. I shook my head. No, he'll call back. At least, that's what I told myself. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. For a second, relief flooded through me. But the moment I opened it, that feeling disappeared. His message read, I'm at the company retreat with Megan. Can't leave right now. It would look bad. I stared at the screen, trying to understand the words. My fingers trembled as another message appeared. Megan needs help with her presentation tomorrow. Just take an Uber home when they discharge you. Sorry, babe. Take an Uber home from the ICU after emergency surgery. Something inside my chest cracked at that moment. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a piece of glass finally breaking after years of pressure. 7 years of marriage, reduced to 2 sentences on a glowing screen. The nurses asked again if they should call someone else. Anyone. But I didn't answer. I just typed one word back to Kevin. Okay. He didn't realize it yet. But that single word ended our 7-year marriage. Because while Kevin spent the night inside Megan's cabin at the lakeside resort, helping her rehearse slides that barely mattered, the hospital had already contacted our company's HR director. And when she reviewed the security footage from that retreat weekend, Kevin would wish more than anything that he had come to the hospital instead of sending that text.